Hey, what's up, peoples? So, finally got the damn muffler I've been waiting on in. It's just a knockoff Yoshimura style, but it works perfectly with this exhaust. Oh yeah, and I also have a nice, cool little carbon fiber, like actual carbon fiber heat shield, so I don't melt my pants. But yeah, I mean, I've got an inlet baffle on it to try and keep the noise down, but without that exit baffle, it's still a little loud. But check out the angle; it aims this way, so there is no exhaust hitting right here. Because even with all of my efforts, it's hard to see, but I had a little bit of melting action. And I was able to use the stock hanger position for a muffler too, for once. So it's not 100% hard mounted back there. Yes, my strap is a little crooked, just how it got installed. I'll probably tweak with it anyway and try to straighten it out. But I will say this, like that inlet baffle, which I'm gonna have to walk over here, but hopefully it's not too high. Yeah, it's okay. This makes all the difference in the noise level. Like with it out, it sounds awesome, and it's not obnoxiously loud, but let's just say about the same as the normal Stoneman exhaust, or that style of eBay exhaust that most people get, which I was trying to aim for something quieter. So with that inlet or that exit baffle in with that inlet baffle, I actually hear the induction noise more than the exhaust. So absolutely in love. But oh yeah, I don't know how many people have seen my round headlight. Yeah. And my windshield, that actually does a little bit. I mean, granted, I'm still getting hit with a bunch of air, but I think the only thing I really want to change anymore are these mirrors, and not because they're bad. I actually have a good view behind me, but that one is a little loose and there's no way to tighten it up. So anytime I go over 60 miles an hour, it starts to kind of, and then I can't see anything. Not necessarily bad. All I have to do is reach over, fold it back. I have another oil cooler I was going to do this weekend, but I don't have the time anymore. But you can see my oil cooler is taking a hit or two now that there's no fender up here to kind of protect it. But now that it has airflow, it actually works too. It actually takes a while for this to get up to temp, but I've got a black one with like a mesh guard on it that I'm going to put on there. But only thing really I want to do besides, it's either get rid of that little tiny fender, and there's a more full size one where it's about the same up here, but curves around more out back. And, just to kind of keep stuff from flinging up on the bike more, because I don't go that off-road like some of y'all. This is mostly road bike, dirt roads and stuff, which a close fender is fine. Still rocking the same chain and sprocket combo. Good old 520 chain with the Bras swing arm and the little protector, which surprisingly hasn't broken or fallen off yet. Let's see. That's about it. I really haven't changed much. Still have the YSS fork valves up front. I do want to go to a heavier oil because it does dive quite a bit on like low speed compression. And a little too much. So I'm probably going to go from, I have a 15 weight. I'm just going to go straight to 30 and see how that feels. High speed's awesome. The fastest rear shock that I have on this thing is still perfect. Still have the same tail bag and the same CSE rack. Yes, your car sounds cool. Neat. Still got the same LED tail light. Haven't changed much on this bike. The exhaust is the big one, and now that I have an exhaust that's actually quiet but also performs, I'm happy. And for you guys out there that just have this obsession with the Nibby carbs, okay, so this is I didn't buy the whole Motocult kit because I kind of pieced together things over time. Like, I already bought the cam before these even existed, but that is the Motocult ported head and the big bore kit. And that is a VM26 30mm carburetor with the old foam pod filter. This setup with this exhaust and that muffler with the silencer in, I just hit 70 on the way out here, just for fun. And I probably could have kept going. Yes, my bike will go every bit of 75. I've actually gotten it to 79, according to the Speedo, which is not the stock one. This is one of the last electronic speedos that was sold by, I can't remember his name anymore, but anyway, it's very well calibrated. At 60 miles an hour, I'm within a mile an hour of 60 according to a GPS. So it's not the most inaccurate. So that is reading 79 to me. At worst, maybe it's 77 actual, but it could also be 82. But either way, this bike is every bit capable of 70, and I don't try to hold it at 70 because it's still a lot of throttle, but all day long, 60, 65 miles an hour, it doesn't overheat thanks to that oil cooler at all. My oil lasts a very long time, which I have switched oil grades. For a long time, I was running T6, 15W40, which is a great oil. Like, I absolutely love that oil for this bike. But the what is it? My Royal Enfield it uses 10W50, and it only uses 3.1 liters, so like 3 quarts basically. And I buy either a gallon or, like this last time, I bought a 6-quart box of Castrol 1050, and that is what I am currently running in this, and that's my approval. That is a great oil for these bikes. That nice light oil when it's cold, but it does a great job when these get up to temp. Yes, it's a little pricey, but 1 quart of the Castrol 1050, which is what it's in here right now, I think it was $14. And with an oil cooler on here, and now that my fueling is really dialed in, I have no complaints. Like, it does everything perfectly. The actual valve noise is a little less, which if you get a cam on these, it does get worse. So if you put a cam on, but don't be too shocked if it's a little more clattery than normal, even with the valve set pretty tight. Because I basically run my intake 0.05 millimeter and my exhaust 0.07. So a little under, what is it, through 2000s? Yeah, a little under 2000s intake and a little under 3000s exhaust, which is pretty tight. And it's still kind of clattery, but with that oil, it actually weirdly kind of helped. Like, it's still loud, but it's not bad. But yeah, other than I do need to tweak a couple control things, that's the bike. And I'm loving it again. I've fallen in love with my Hawk all over again, especially now with, vehicle prices and gas prices going up and up and up. I've had this thing for years. And yes, I stopped riding it for a couple of them, life and mental health and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to start using it more. That's why I've got my whole commuter set up on it. So yeah, that's actually just everything I wanted to cover. The amazing thing is, and I know a lot of people will hate me, and I was the person that did the first Nibby carburetor. That was me, PE 30 years ago, on this very bike. And it's not a bad carb, but I'm trying to push people away from that carburetor, mainly because it's not a good match. Maybe I could try it again now with the big bore kit and all that stuff, the ported head. I mean, this thing does have a lot more airflow, but it's not necessary. If you're getting one of these bikes for the first time, don't waste your money on a Nibby. Don't, especially not the very first thing you do. And I don't care. The PE28 is definitely a better match. It's still kind of a waste. If you want to get more performance out of your bike, do an exhaust, do a ported head at the minimum. Those two mods will do way more for power and top speed than a carburetor ever will, and I don't care what you have done to the bike. I have proof. VM26 30 millimeter, which is basically a stock carburetor with an extra bowl screw, and it uses Mikuni jets, which are ideal. So skip the carb, or if you're gonna get a carb, just stick to the stock one. Unseal it, put a main jet in. They actually run really good. Like, if you can unseal the stock carburetor, you put whatever size you need, a 110, or if you have an exhaust, a 115. Adjust your idle mixture. For most bikes, that'll be perfect, and you'll be amazed at the performance. Now, if you put the ported head on and the cam and stuff, The problem with the stock carburetor is mainly that you can't upgrade the pilot jet, and that has been an issue for some people, which is why I always recommend, if you can find the VM26 carbs, the Mikuni jets are better, period. They work and operate in a different way. Even though the numbers are kind of the same, the Mikuni jets are a like tapered nozzle. They're actually an engineered fuel nozzle. So they're rated by cc's per minute. So a 115 main jet is 115 cc's per minute of fuel, or I think it's per minute, I don't remember, either way. And they just allow the engine to, they run better, they get better fuel economy, it's smoother. I mean, don't take my word for it, ask other guys. There's plenty of other old heads that have been riding these bikes for a long time. They have all the mods just like me, and they'll tell you, yes, there are advantages to the PE30 and the PE28. You get that feeling of more immediate throttle response sooner, but it's not real power that you're getting with that. More so that it is because that throttle opening is bigger. It's a smoothbore carburetor, because that hole is bigger and that throttle slide is bigger. When it's at a quarter throttle, you get basically more open area for the same throttle position. That's why it feels so snappy. That's why it feels like you have so much torque. If you could take the stock carb and open it fast enough, it would feel exactly the same, but you know, that's a technique thing. But for absolute power, they aren't doing a whole lot for you. You might get a little extra. I'm not arguing that, you know, horsepower maybe, if you're lucky, but you're not gonna feel a horsepower on these bikes. Whereas a properly ported head, which I did an okay job with mine, but I'm not a professional. The Motocolt ones are great. I'm impressed. I mean, like, it's better than mine. It has undercut intake and exhaust valves, so there's more flow there. But they also maintain a lot of velocity. The induction noise out of this engine is incredible. Like loud. And the main jet size and pilot jet size I'm running would actually probably surprise some people, considering how fast this is. With that VM26, it's a 120 main and a 25 pilot, and the needles in the middle notch, my feeling's perfect. Like maybe even a little on the rich side with the 120, but I don't have a 117 to try. 115 was lean, like doughy lean, bad. Then the 120 seems to do good, so I'm just gonna leave it there for now. I might eventually, you know, order a different one, but yippee. But yep, and ignition wise, the Nibby coils are definitely worth it. That's what I've had on my bike for years. I have the Iridium plug with a wide gap because I've got a better coil. I never have a misfire. You know, all of these performance mods that people throw at these bikes, it's a little bandwagon-y, and I like I said, you can do your own thing. I'm not going to judge you. If you want the Nibby carb, because, you know, like some of the elements here, hold on. Some of the elements of these, like Mikuni colognes and the PZ30s, the idle mixture is up and underneath, and it's a bitch to get to, so I get that. There are thumb screws you can get for them, which, you know, you can reach in there and play with it, but it's hard to do because, you know, right there, exhaust. You could try to come in from the other side, but it's all hot and crowded and annoying. And the idle mixture on those is up here. So you get an air screw instead of a fuel screw. So that's one of the big advantages. Choke wise, they both suck because the PEs are up here, kind of tucked in. You can get to them. And of course on these, they're on the other side. You got to reach up and underneath and fiddle with it, but I don't find that to be too big of a deal. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then I still have my redneck engineering going on here because with this exhaust, that mid pipe mount sticks out way too far, so it shoves it so far back that back here is terrible. So this is basically the mounts that are holding this. I have extra ones. So I took 2 of those, ran bolts into each one of the mounts just like this, and then I bought a pack of hinge supports at the hardware store, and you know, lined everything up, installed it, centered my hole, made a hole punch, drilled a hole. Now I've got a bolt and a nut through it. Still holding on just fine. A lot of people were kind of second guessing my redneckiness, but it works. I mean, yes, eventually I'd like to get a properly welded on mount, but there's nothing wrong with that. It actually gives it some flexibility and adjustability. But I'll give you one last view of my awesomeness, which actually I really need to clean. It looks okay in the camera, but I think that's more the lighting. This thing needs love. bad. But I'll go ahead and cut it off here. You guys have a wonderful night, morning, day, whatever it is, and I'll see you next time.